Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. It's a Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Obviously, I am not Jeff Ironhead Byers. Had to jump in at the last minute here for Ironhead. He's going to be here on Thursday previewing what ought to be a really, really intense Big Ten wrestling tournament, especially since we did not get that dual meet between the Nittany Lions and the Hawkeyes. This is going to be the first chance this season for Iowa and Penn State to put their best against each other. But Ironhead will be talking about that on Thursday.
Big time.
In case you can't tell, there's a little bit of partisanship on the show today regarding this big series coming up in the NHL.
A 3-game series that's not playoff related. I don't think it's ever happened before.
It's cool. I love this, man.
Oh my God, there's gonna be so much bad blood. So
I like this. I like this division.
I want to get into wrestling, but yeah. I want to say we're Big Ten people. There's the hate between Ohio State and Michigan, which is nationally fabricated and loved and all this and all that. I get it, but is there more hate between Iowa and Penn State wrestling than any other sport?
Well, okay,
there's like zero love.
I'll tell you a story about that.
Sure.
2017, when we went out there, Trace McSorley hit the Juwan Johnson pass right at the last play of the game.
I still hear about that game.
What's that?
I still hear about him punting that football. And they hate him for that.
That was not his proudest moment.
I know, but I'm telling you, people still like that jerk punting the ball, that kid punk. I was like, dude, get over it. Man.
Yeah, you got to let it go. Yep. You got to let it go. But okay, so that game, the 2017 game, that was you remember that was a night game, so it was like a lot of festivities out there around the stadium all day. And we sent a guy out to cover the game for the show, and he's just capturing video of festivities going on and everything. And he must have had something on Penn State, because he got this footage. We didn't use it, but it was great. It's a bunch of Iowa fans come walking by with their tailgating coolers and everything. The one guy looks right at the camera. Now, again, remember, this is hours before they are about to kick off against a top 10 Penn State team. And the guy's like, "We'll kick your ass in wrestling." That's it. Like, that guy's first thought was, oh, here's somebody from Penn State. I'm going to talk smack about wrestling.
I'm paying to go to a football game. But I'm going to talk about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's a very right. You've heard me tell the story about Indiana's football coaches and their equipment staff. When me and Spider went out there.
Tell it again, though. It's a good one.
It's amazing.
You should.
I still can't believe to this day that Spider and I went out there. I was helping Spider set up the day before, and you always get somebody from the athletic department who will open up the locker room for you from Indiana's athletic department, who will work for Penn State for the weekend, help Spider out and help whoever out, open a locker room, lock the locker room, all that stuff. Hey, what do you guys need? Oh my God, we forgot socks. That type of stuff. Of thing, right? So Spider is the greatest human being in the history of the world, just making small talk with this guy. And he was like, so how are you guys making out with the coach thing, the situation and stuff? Now, this is the year before their coach had to stop coaching football and died of brain cancer. I forget his name. Indiana's football coach died of brain cancer.
Yeah.
So the guy who works for the University of Indiana football is looking at me and Spider and saying, you know what? Well, we made a deal with the devil. We sort of expected this to happen. The guy's got a long track record. I'm just like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? And Spider is looking at him going, what are you talking about? Like, okay, yeah, that's great. And the guy was complaining about, we made our bed. It's not how we are. It was bound to happen sooner or later. And I'm looking at Spider, and I'm like, it registered with me after a little bit. And he finally looked at me, and the guy left, and Spider was like, Goon, what the hell is he talking about? I said, Spider, he's talking about Kelvin Simpson, the basketball coach who got Indiana in some trouble with some recruiting violations. And I'm like, this is how Indiana basketball is.
You were in the bowels of the Indiana football stadium,
working for
hours before kickoff.
It was the day before.
Okay.
Night before. So it was unbelievable to me. And Spider was like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "That's how much they love. That's how much they don't really. That's how much of a basketball school it is." So you can just see it's the same way with Iowa with their wrestling program, and they love it out there. And It's got to hurt them that Penn State has taken that mantle from them the last 10 years. I mean, it's got to with the
they hate it.
and the history that they have
hate
with
it.
Dan Gable and 28 titles and this and that and how successful they were. And then Cale comes in.
Well, and they were all set up to pull the rug out from under State last year.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they're still going to have a great shot to do it this season. I mean, they're absolutely the favorite for the national title going in.
Stuff like that. So I told Ironhead before, you were behind the camera when we've talked about it, but I just feel like our guys wrestle and compete and they have fun. It doesn't seem like they're like this rigid animal, like robot, like Iowa guys. Like they just seem so rigid and they don't smile. They don't look like they're having fun ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like that. To me, is like they're so round, so tight, and I think it goes back to their coaches, the Brand brothers. I mean, they're just like everything's a competition and combat, fight, and this and that. Yeah, like that. And there's like no fun in them. And it's like that sets yourself up to fail, to choke, in my opinion. Like you know, it just like starts to steamroll and they start, you know, the collar gets a little tighter and stuff like that, and then it just, you know, like Ohio State when they a couple years ago when they really choked in at the Nationals in wrestling against Penn State. And Penn State just, you know, did what they had to do, won all their matches, and boom, won a national title in a big comeback. So I just feel like that about Iowa and Penn State. It looks like our guys, like, they sort of have fun. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Look, and you understand, Goon, that at the end of the day, especially in college sports, like, talent wins out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can, if you airlifted Nick Saban, his staff, and his players and dropped them in Champaign, Illinois, and had them train in those Illinois facilities for a year, they'd win the Big Ten and go to the national playoffs. But my point in bringing that up is that despite all those other outside factors, Iowa is still the favorite to win the title just because they've got the talent. But to your point, if Penn State is going to overtake them this year, I'm talking like we're some scrappy underdog. They're number one and we're number two. But I think a lot of people out there and a lot of people nationally are still expecting Iowa to bring home the title this year. And if Penn State can get the key wins it needs to pull, you know, what would be something of an upset, maybe that's because all that pressure is building up on those upperclassmen for Iowa. On the other hand, how is Penn State going to do it? Largely with young guys going out there with nothing to lose, just having a good time and you know, wrestling their best match.
Yep. And the other thing is that we saw this last year, and that was, I should have reiterated that I saw when they wrestled in the Big Ten last year. That's what it was like, and I think that Iowa's under that Michigan, Ohio State, like, you know, the Big Ten title is the or I shouldn't say Ohio State, but the Michigan. You know, the Big Ten title is the only title that we go after, like the old Bo Schembechler ways, you know, like they were so jacked up to win the Big Ten title last year, and that Penn State was like, we're not here for the Big Ten title. That's
clearly we do not focus on conference titles,
national titles, and that's how I felt going after the Big Ten last year, and you know they chipped away at them a little bit at the Big Tens, but Iowa won the title. And then it was like 2 weeks later, getting ready for nationals, and they obviously canceled. I was sitting here earlier before thinking about that. Like, that was 50 weeks ago we were sitting here. And when they canceled the Big Ten or the nationals, I was like, whoa, it's crazy to think about. But, you know, it's been a long year. But I mean, that's how I feel about it. Even if Iowa comes in and wins the Big Ten title, which they're probably an 80%, 75% chance of doing, in my opinion.
Sure.
They still have to go 2 weeks from now and win national titles, and that's what I feel like. I feel like Cale, you know, gets his guys charged up for that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go for a Big Ten title. I mean, it's not like they're going to hold back or anything like that. But you know what I mean, though. They want to peak at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, you can look back over this run he's had, and there are a number of times Penn State's, you know, placed numerous individual national champions, won the team title, and not won the conference title, and nobody cares.
No one cares.
Yeah.
So it was just banner for them to hang, and they could have that one if you get the national title. So, and I'm sure I talked to Jeff earlier. Well, we will obviously talk more about that, but I did talk to the managers here at the Lube, and they are actually going to blast out all four sessions, Saturday and Sunday of this weekend. Obviously, we can't go. I want to talk about that with the even with the sanctions lifted and the 2,000 people allowed in and this and that, I think it's going to be mostly family, I would say. I think.
Well, yeah, because it's a conference rule. It's a Big Ten rule.
So, so the other night I was talking. Me and Carrie were talking about how, like, we're talking about the net wrestling national titles and then the basketball, and having no fans. And then we're talking about, like, Tampa Bay. I mean, how much the economic impact on Tampa Bay for having the Super Bowl. They had to put all these money up and get everything up to date and this and that. And then the Super Bowl, we're allowing 20,000 fans here. Nobody from the outside world, right? You know what I mean? So there's like,
yeah. So and how about Tampa missed out on extra
game.
Money from the NHL Finals, the World Series, and the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Now think about that. So that's a town to get hit and get destroyed for that. But then I thought about this, and I was like sitting there like this morning. I'm like laying in bed and I'm like thinking like, I mean, this is a small town who benefits a lot from these type of events, and us having the Big Ten title, national or the Big Ten wrestling things. That's Bryce Jordan's, and there's that 17,000 people going to be in that arena 4 times in 2 days.
Yeah.
So you think about they got to spend the night. Thursday night, they're going to be here. They're going to be here Friday night and probably Saturday night. So that's a lot of meals, a lot of beer, and a lot of hotel rooms there, again, have been lost to this damn disease or this virus, whatnot. But, we talked about off air. I mean, is Penn State going to jump the line and get the Big Tens next year? I mean, is it planned out how far, and or are they going to wait 15 more years to get it? Because, but what did you say?
That'd be a pretty Big Ten type of deal.
Fashion.
Yeah.
Like, well,
sorry,
what?
guys.
Hey,
you had your shot. You had your shot.
You wait
that stuff
more years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do hope they take a cue from what hockey did with Allentown, where that was another place where Penn State bit it.
Yep.
And again, Frozen Four having a location in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Penn State's not going to get a crack at that now just because of the way things have gone with COVID. So, I mean, both in terms of economic impact on State College and just missed opportunities for, real milestone accomplishments for several of our winter and spring sports. Yeah. Penn State was hit pretty hard by COVID. It stinks.
The whole year worth. I mean, I think about it as a person who does business in this town, and just the hotels, they're 18% capacity for the past year. I mean, think about that. I mean, how are they staying afloat? And then the restaurants, and it's really, really crazy, the economic impact on a lot of different things. I mean, we could talk about the whole COVID but then the $50 million for the facilities and stuff. So I mean, people are mad at that. What
I know you and Ironhead talked about that already. If you want to talk about it a little bit more, if you don't mind, I would love to get your take on it, give some thoughts. I'm going to hop to a quick break here. On the other side, we're going to talk about $50 million to renovate the lobby of the Lash building. What does the Goon think? What do I think? We'll be back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SAUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these two troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car, is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medlar Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got Smart Park!
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.
And we're back here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. I quite obviously am not the Ironhead. Chris Bucanani of the obligatory PSU pregame show and podcast, filling in for Jeff, joined by former Penn State offensive tackle Keith Goon Conlon. Want to thank all the sponsors of the show. Go ahead.
My first live show in a month.
I know. It's nice to have you back. It's good to have you back here at the Lube, which is a great place to come hang out. Watch the Big Tens this weekend if you're in town.
Absolutely.
Always want to remind everybody that Quaker State gift cards are a great way to support a local business that's employing a lot of local folks and has stuck it out through the tough times we were just talking about. And they're great gifts. You can use them for yourself. You can give them to other folks. So think about the gift card. Come on out here, get some wings, have a few adult beverages, enjoy watching all the sports that are about to start. Pitchers and catchers, man.
Awesome,
good stuff. March
the
Madness is going to happen again. Right? I haven't seen the Phillies yet.
No.
But before we get into talking Philadelphia and Pittsburgh sports, because it's kind of a big event coming up on the ice here, I did just want to revisit with you, Goon, the controversy, quote unquote, where you had, basically what amounts to a rubber stamp vote by the Board of Trustees, 27-6, to approve $50 million. It authorized $50 million. The money's already been borrowed.
Yes. Stress that.
Yeah, in upgrading the Lash building. These are plans that have been on the books for a while. Really only made the news because Jay Paterno had some comments against it, voted against it, and he's a recognizable name. We're doing a podcast about this tonight, and I already recorded a little monologue to intro it. And I said, look, if anyone other than J-Pa or Anthony Lebrano or Brandon Short says boo about this, nobody cares because nobody even knows who that is.
Yeah.
It's the name was it. The vote was immaterial. This was going to happen either way. But Jay said his piece. Clearly, LeVar Arrington felt some kind of way about it. He had some comments about it. Brandon Short had some comments on it. You're a Letterman, Goon. You've been in town. You've been close to the football program. You played here. Sure. You coached here. Now, you cover the program as part of the media. I'm really curious what your take is on all of this.
My feeling is, you got to take care of what the moneymaker. That we are the moneymaker. Penn State football is the moneymaker in this town. As much as we talk about, graduation and family weekend and wrestling tournaments and how much money they can bring into this area, you're still getting that 7 times, 8 times a year, you're getting a $10 million boost into the local economy.
Yeah.
That doesn't even include what Penn State's making on tickets, on alcohol, on food, all that stuff. So, you got to think of it like that. So,
So from that perspective,
yep.
At purely economics, it's a spend money to make money kind of deal.
You got to pump the prime, whatever.
Because you got to pour this, prime the pump is what you're trying to say. Yeah, you got to prime the pump because you've got to maintain a level of competitiveness that matches up with what the fan base expects. Or if you don't, there's a drop off in all those economic factors. I remember, Goon, what it was like here in town. I wrote a story about it for the Daily Collegian. I was in school at the time. Just when there was a drop off in football success for a few years.
Yeah.
It was, I think it made a single digit percentage wise dent in what a lot of the businesses were doing economically, but that's a huge chunk of your margin.
Yeah.
Right? And that was just Beaver Stadium went from having 107,000 people in it to, not 90-some thousand because people stopped showing up. Now we've gone a year with 0. So
if we are asked as football are asked to run the whole athletic department for a $50 million budget, Penn State makes $50 million in athletics, and they fund every other sport, and I have no problem spending that money. Now, as I said last week, I said I can agree with Jay 100% as a board of trustee member because that's like, as Ironhead said, where does it stop? Just James come out next year and says, well, I want $300 million now for this. You know what I mean? And Jay was making it like, well, we got to stop this now. And I don't like that. There was 2 things that Jay said that Jay was speaking as a board of trustee member. Okay, that's good. I understand that. And I got your back 100%. But you were also speaking as a former coach and the son of Joe Paterno.
Sure.
So you got to differentiate that. You can't have it both ways, in my opinion. I know he's a former coach, but he's acting as a Penn State board of trustee. So, as I say, his fiduciary responsibility is to Penn State University. And if he thought that there's better places to spend that $50 million, now this is where I'm got to draw my line, and that is, I understand you need new facilities. You got to update the facilities. We threw our hat in the ring. When 6-7 years ago with James Franklin, and we put our hat in the ring and said, we are now going to try and keep up with the Joneses. And that's what we did. And once you did it, you're not coming back from that. You can't be like, you can't be like,
you can't have one foot in and one foot out.
You can't do it.
Yep.
You're either in or you're out. And we went completely in years ago with the locker room and stuff like that. And with that said, put the money into the football program. I get it. It'll come out. It comes out eventually to make more money. It takes care of everything. Now, the fact that I found out that the money has already been loaned and it's been sitting in an account and we paid a $2.5 million loan on it, and we have not even broken ground on anything yet is insane to me. That people are willing to. The money's already in the checking account, in the account. They're paying the interest on it. They paid $2.5 million. So if they don't do it this year, it's going to cost another $2.5 million. So now you're on $5 million, and you haven't even replaced a brick. So it's stupid. I don't know why that's not been talked about from the start. Like, okay, this money's already there. It's been allocated for years. It's good. You go with it. And that's how I feel.
Yeah, and it's multi-layered. Like, there are definitely some things. So my whole take on this is, number one, ultimately, at the end of the day, I support the decision for the reasons you just laid out. Number one, we already borrowed the money. Number two, you can't go half measures, and you're already basically committed. I think what a lot of Penn State fans... I wasn't
happy about us jumping into the ring and throwing our hat away, trust me.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I didn't love it either, but one thing I think Penn State fans need to keep some perspective on is that from the time Joe took over as the head coach until he became like global icon Joe Paterno, his coaching and the way he coached his program elevated it into a tier of college football that we all got used to it inhabiting. And then he just stuck around. And that tier of the sport completely changed all around us, but because of the culture of the place and because of his strength as the guy at the top of that program, it changed way more slowly for us than it did for every other peer institution. So when Joe left, all of a sudden we got put on the exact same level into perpetuity as every one of those other schools. But the difference was,
you're trying to scare me with your big words.
We were behind everybody else.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And so not only did we have to accept that all of a sudden, like, hey, you got to get a water slide just like everybody else, buddy. You're no different, no exceptions. The other problem is everyone else has a water slide and you haven't even broken ground on it yet. So not only do you have to make a cultural shift, a mindset shift. No, I'm just using that as a stand-in for all the bells and whistles. Absolutely. Yeah. Clemson has a water slide. So you need to make a quick mindset shift. And then you also got to invest big bucks right out of the gate. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you've got all the other mitigating factors from the scandal. You got to navigate yourself around. So not a fun situation for James Franklin, even though, like you, I don't love the rat race, man. I don't love being on the treadmill, and frankly, I think a lot of it is a mirage. I think there are a lot of Penn States and Michigans and Tennessees and what's another good, Oregons out there that are getting suckered into spending many tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in pursuit of Ohio State and Clemson and Alabama, and that's the deal.
I think Oregon started it personally.
Well, maybe you're right, but I mean they've never gotten over, right? They got to one title game and they lost to an SEC school that had literally bought its way into that title game and bought themselves a championship. I think it's a false promise. I think at the end of the day, you spend this money and a lot of people are never going to see the return that they've been promised on it. So I do kind of question the premise a little bit. I would just love to see, what if we said, like, you know what, guys, no, like we're not doing neon foot lockers, no water slides, no, like installing granite tile in the lobby. We're just going to coach well. We're going to develop talent. We're going to give a great education. And that's it. Like, I'm not saying we're going to go on the cheap, but we're not going to invest $100 million in bells and whistles for the training facility. Maybe that experiment would work in our favor, but we're not going to try it. And that would be, as you pointed out, man, a huge, huge risk because of the number of people in this community and the number of people inside the university, employees, athletics teams, you name it, that are depending on this continuing to roll along the tracks.
Sure. I mean, both of our wives work for this university.
For sure.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves, man. So yeah, once we put the hat in the ring 5, 6, 7 years ago, I mean, there's no jumping in or jumping out. I mean, you got to go. You're not putting your foot in, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm okay with it, but like, is it just frivolous? And that's what I don't want to see, the frivolous, wasteful spending.
I mean, I think for sure it is frivolous, right? But the sport has also become one where, in order to occupy the top tier, you have to invest hundreds of $millions in frivolity. Like, that's just the way it goes.
All right, you're going to tell me that I'm not being a jerk here, but you could tell me that if like you just said, if you put Alabama's guys, their staff and their program, their coaches and everybody at Illinois, they're going to win the Big Ten with those facilities.
If you took them and transplanted them there now, they would win the Big. Everybody. If you transplanted everybody now, they would win the title, the conference title next season or this season. But 5 years from that point, you don't make any upgrades. Yeah. I don't think. I really do believe. I don't think that Nick Saban
and Clemson because of the facilities, in my opinion.
No, but I don't know that Nick Saban is going to get every Alabama recruit to go play for him in Champaign if they don't make those kind of upgrades. So, like, the talent in the short term makes the difference.
They want to be part of the winning organization. That's how I feel.
I think
it's Alabama's because of their locker room and their weight room, and
I think
that's how they got the recruiting.
I think it's both.
It's a good point.
I think if you are somebody,
we should do a radio show and talk about this.
I think if you're somebody who can coach like Nick Saban does,
yeah,
you realize that the bells and whistles and the frivolity, that's all part of your success, and you've got the political capital to get it done.
Name one thing that Alabama has that we don't. I mean, honestly. Do they have anything that we? Is it like
they do. They do. Yeah. I mean, you put me on the spot. I can't name exactly what they have.
I know LSU had those sleeping compartments and stuff like that in the lockers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Listen, there is no doubt that if you go through the Alabama football facility and you go through Penn State's, it's like the difference between a major and a minor league ballpark. And this is the case that Franklin and Sandy Barber are making. They don't even want to get up to Alabama level. They're like, well, listen, we're 25% of Alabama right now. We want to be like 60%. We want to be like 65%. And then we want to believe that all the other things Penn State can offer and the people we got in the building and the kids we put in uniform, they're going to make up the rest of the difference. But what they're saying is you can't stay in the same league with Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, Georgia. You can't stay in that rare air without going from where we are to at least like meet us halfway.
I guess the only one that I'm remembering is the Clemson one. Their facility. I don't remember. I mean, I remember Alabama showing the numbers. It was a $25 million upgrade after winning a national title. I get that.
This is another good point too here. So one of the listeners just brought up Alabama's got way more staff support. They got more coaches. They got more support staff. And again, it's just different culture down there in the SEC, man. Nobody blinks an eye at spending whatever you need to spend to win in football. And again, I'm not saying I want that here. Like,
no, but
I don't.
What I'm saying to you is I don't know what they have. Like, I mean, I've seen Clemson.
Here you go. An entire building for aqua therapy.
Well, everybody needs aqua therapy. Everybody needs that.
You do a different, cheaper kind of liquid therapy, and that seemed to work pretty well for you guys when you were here.
Yeah. Like, I remember one of my Tony Pittman. He says, I mean, we felt like we were training like Clubber Lang in like the pits of like. I mean, that's what he was saying. You know what I mean? And we were happy with it. And
you're undefeated.
Thought that we had great facilities. And I know Brandon Short had talked about it in his article of why he did say yes to the money. He goes, the whole reason I came to Penn State was because of the facilities. And I'm like, dude, I was here with you. I mean, we had East Area Locker Room and Haluba Hall and the Nittany Apartments. I mean, what was really that outstanding? I mean, I thought we came here because we wanted educations and we felt the family atmosphere. That's why I came here. It wasn't because the Haluba Hall had a great turf. I mean, or the weight room was that massive. But that's how I feel about everything.
Yeah, I think kind of to the extent that there are two sides to this debate.
Sure.
I think both sides have unfairly vilified the spokesperson for the other side. Like, I think people have come down hard on Jay because he's Jay, and like coach's kid's always an easy target.
Okay, all three of the guys we're talking about, LeVar, Brandon, and Jay, have contradicted themselves historically.
No
in the
question.
Last 10 years.
No question.
I mean, it's like no one's ever going to be 100% right in this.
Well, you know what? It's okay.
Stand,
this is good life advice. It's okay to change your mind.
Yes.
It's fine.
I remember LeVar was the guy who said, I'm done with Penn State. You know, and then Brandon Short was on the same team as that. I goes, I'm done with Penn State. They're not going to hire a Penn State guy. I'll show you the quotes. I mean, he was talking about how, we're not an SEC team. We don't need these facility upgrades. And you're just like, what changed in the last 9-10 years since this has gone on? So I get it. I mean,
those are interesting quotes, man, for sure. Like,
remember that article?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that no one is ever. No one's ever going to bring that up because they want to continue to have access to the program. And when you ask questions that come a little bit too close to the third rail, all of a sudden you find yourself not getting called on quite as often, I think.
It is what it is. I mean, these guys, it's all they were speaking from the heart, and it's all about heart. They all love this place. All three of them love it. And
well, so two things about that. So first of all, I give everybody a pass on anything they said in the 12 months after November 9th, 2011. Because
my birthday that bad?
Jeez. It kind of was good.
Damn it.
Yeah, your birthday's been brutal. Wait, you had the 2008 Iowa game, right? The 2019 Minnesota game. Yep. Yeah, unbelievable. The price we paid to get you here to play tackle for that 94 team.
Oh, Lordy,
so I give everybody a pass for that. And the other thing too is, like, look, your point about Jay coming to it from the perspective as a trustee and a fiduciary. You know what? Look. I want there to be a little disagreement. Like, it's okay. Like, guys, the vote was 27-6. Okay. Everybody who is we're not going to win if we don't have the water slide. You're going to get your water slide.
If we get a water slide, I'm going to punch you. There's a water slide in the route.
Just wait. I'm definitely this $50 million doesn't have a water slide, but I would not put money on no water slide. But you're going to get all your bells and whistles. They're going to polish the floor of the lobby, whatever. They're going to put, massaging chairs in all the coaches' offices. You're going to get what you wanted, right? So I think it's perfectly okay to have an intelligent conversation among university trustees. Okay. We have like 7 million people on our board of trustees. I think it's okay to have a little discussion about whether or not, hey, maybe we don't need to spend $50 million fixing the lobby in the middle of a global pandemic. Like, that's an acceptable point of view that you ought to be able to air without being attacked by the Penn State blogosphere.
That is
on the other end,
program, though. That's what people first see when they come to your program. So
absolutely. And so
that
from the other perspective, look, Brandon Short has done incredibly well for himself in his post-NFL career. And so his life story from where he started as a recruit to a star at Penn State.
Of the grand experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy's no dummy. Like, he understands how the business world works. And I would imagine that since he's become a trustee, he's probably gotten an entirely different window into the business side of college football than he had when he made those comments as an ex-player in an emotional moment 10 years ago. Absolutely. So I think his heart is in the right place. And again, at the end of the day, like, I actually think he's on the right side of the issue.
Everybody is. They're just speaking from the heart. Right? I mean, I think I have no problem with what any of them said. But if there's a slide, I'm going to be really pissed off there, Chris.
By the way, speaking of water and slides, Alan wants you to know that there's aquatherapy for the hockey players at Pagula.
I have seen that. Tell Alan, Alan, I have seen that, and it's a beautiful thing. I have talked about going in there. Doing some fat boy aquatic work. But
Pagula, by the way, is a perfect example of why facilities do matter.
Yeah.
My buddy Chris Buzzsaw Adamski at Trib Live, he was covering Penn State for them at the time that Pagula got finished. And so he covers the Penguins too. So he's been, all over road venues in the NHL. And he told me when he came up here for the media guided tour of the facility, he said the arena that Penn State ice hockey has is conservatively nicer than a third of the arenas in the NHL.
That's not uncommon. I mean, you're an Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles fan. Do you know?
You had to bring that up today. Huh?
How the Eagles facility was when under Norman Braman.
Yes, I do.
When it was at the vet. I mean,
I do. Yeah.
It was a disgrace. I mean, I remember going to Indianapolis, and I'm walking in their facility, and I'm like looking around. I mean, we weren't spoiled here, but we had very, very nice top of the line stuff.
Sure.
And I was like, this is an NFL property, and I just could not believe how beat up it was. And I mean, it's not uncommon for a kid to leave college and go to the NFL and be like, wow, my facilities in college were literally 10 times better than this. It's not uncommon. Okay, now I want to get back to where I have an issue.
All right, please do.
We're expanding a weight room that was literally less than 10 years old and completely upgraded with Craig Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And I don't know what exactly they're going to upgrade.
Neon. I think they're going to add neon to all the barbells.
You're just trying to make me mad. Jesus. No, but I mean, you have all this huge facility, beautiful facility. Everything was brand new. Everything was top of the line, beautifully done. Everything was perfect. What is wrong with that? I don't understand what's wrong. I don't see the plans to see exactly what's going to be done. So you keep on saying water slides and neons. And
there's going to be like a big screen to play Fortnite on, I think.
Oh, you're working me, buddy. I'm my first day back here in 28 days.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I wish I had the I didn't know we were going to get this deep into it. I wish I had the exact laundry list in front of me. And I know, look, this is only one of several phases. Yeah. And, look, I've said on the show before that personally, I'm kind of just becoming detached from the playoff chase because I think it's kind of like it's like playing the lottery, basically. Like people who continue to play the lotto numbers and think, they're just one more play away from Powerball.
Because there's so many people who've retired from the lottery.
Yeah.
Who've done that forever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's kind of like there's so many teams that have been part of the national championship. Like there are way, way, way more schools spending hundreds of millions of dollars on water slides than there are teams consistently going to the playoffs. So I'm not even going to use that as the standard. I think that is a rigged, stupid system that is ultimately better than the BCS, but still bad for the sport. And I am going to say, though, if this plan is the difference between 8 or 9 wins a year or 10 or 11 wins a year, then, yeah, for pride in program and for all the, front porch type value of it, plus all the economic impact you talked about, it's still worth it. It's still worth it, even if you don't go to the playoffs. Now, I don't know why I'm going to throw a grenade right before we're getting ready to go to break, but I'm going to throw a grenade.
Another one.
Let me just say, I do get rubbed the wrong way a little bit when people frame this as if you so much as like Jay did vocalize opposition to this, it's like you're telling James Franklin you don't want to be here. You don't want him to be here, or you're against James Franklin.
Whole line in the sand thing is
yeah. And Ironhead's point was right. Like, at what point, if following that logic, is it ever okay to say no to anything the guy asks for? And if you want to have that sort of position where if you want to be Nick Saban, you want to be able to basically have a blank check to issue demands, then number one, like, I don't know, don't flirt openly with every open job on the market every year. So you don't do that. You maybe not have your agent just out shopping you around every single offseason. Like, I get it. Every 3 or 4 years, you got to restructure your contract. That's part of the deal. How about like turn down the Tennessee flew up to see you at a neutral site? That Tennessee, that program's a total mess. Just maybe a little bit less of that. And like, if you want to be that, you sure as hell can't start 0-5. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were telling me the value proposition of my $50 million is we're not going to go 8-4 every year, then the one thing you can't do is go 8-4. So we'll see.
Oh, you're again, James he is in 100%. Now that is if you don't now.
We'll see, and that's my point.
Now you don't produce
we're in 100% because we borrowed the money.
Yes. Not
so
uncommon.
like the last you remember what you saw last best. The last thing we saw James Franklin was a season that started 0-5. And you're going to have to be a hell of a lot better, a hell of a lot faster, which, by the way, I think he has made a lot of moves to go in that direction. I don't want to come across as an anti-Franklin guy because I'm not at all.
I'm
at
not
all.
an 0-5 guy. I mean, I guess last year was such an anomaly.
But I am not a stay as long as you want guy just yet either. Like Joe had to be here and like help kick off fundraising campaigns and have undefeated seasons and win national championships and build a library before he got to the point where I was like, stay as long as you want. So James has still got to, sort of sing for his supper in terms of like my loyalty as a Penn Stater. Like he has my support. But again, man, there is just in the back of my head this understanding that if he goes off and he takes a USC job, the debt service on these facility renovations doesn't go with him. Now, again, you can say that anybody who replaces James is going to want the same stuff, so it's portable, and I'll buy that argument. But anyway, I thought I'd pull the pin out of that one before we went to break.
For these facilities, and there's this much fight. Now, this is our third show of us talking about this exact same things. It could have been 4 or 5 because I missed a week.
No, we didn't really talk about it. It's the off season, though. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I got you. But, there is. You don't go and do a 9-3, 8-4 season with an Outback Bowl victory. That's not return of, like, your investment, in my opinion, as a fan and as a booster, as an alumni. I mean, now you want this. Here you go. Now you got to answer. I mean, there's a lot more pressure on him now. You were exactly right. I like the sing for supper thing. Never heard of that.
You know who's facing a lot of pressure?
Sandy Barber, because she is all in on James Franklin. I think she's more into it than James.
That's a great answer. And if you look at her history at Cal and the amount of money they borrowed,
that scares
definitely makes you worried.
Living hell out of me.
But that's not the answer I was looking for.
Damn it.
Who's under a lot of pressure is the Pittsburgh Penguins, about to go into a series with their arch rival and without their star player. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent ya.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
and remember,
Back here at State College's Quaker Steak and Lube, you're tuned in to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We're happy to have you here with us, whether you're watching live or watching the recording. Goon and I just had a pretty good conversation about the Lash building upgrade. If I can throw a plug in, the obligatory PSU podcast. You can hear me kick this around with Kevin Horn, Brandon Noble, and Mike the Mailman. So check that out wherever you get your podcasts. And so, Goon, I teased it before the break. Clearly, this is going to be a one-sided conversation because we don't have the resident Penguins fan in the Ironhead. But you guys can talk about this on Thursday, too, because we got a 3-game series tonight, Tuesday the 2nd, and then Thursday and Saturday. Both teams with 11 wins, both teams within 2 points of one another. It doesn't get any better than this, man. Like Flyers, Penguins with,
Best rivalry in sports.
Pretty significant 6 points on the line here over the next week.
We say it's the best rivalry, and we talked about before Iowa and Penn State wrestling is a huge rivalry. This is the best rivalry in sports right now between these two teams.
Now, I'm a little bit
no love at all.
I'm a little bit too young to remember the best of the Pirates-Phillies rivalry when they were in the same division. Now, I'm told that was like pretty intense back in the day because definitely both teams were great in the late 1970s, early 80s.
I mean, I'm too young for that too. I
right.
mean, we were talking about it. I have some friends who were talking about this. Like the mid 70s to like the mid 80s was a pretty damn awesome time in the state of Pennsylvania.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
The Steelers, Flyers winning Stanley Cups, the Buccos winning World Series, the Phillies winning the World Series, the Sixers winning the World Series. You throw Penn State winning 2 national titles.
Penn State wins 2 national championships. Pitt won a national title in 76, Villanova in 84. Eagles go to the Super Bowl in 80.
Villanova basketball. I mean, the Big Five basketball. I mean, we talk about it. It was just like, you can't tell me that's not the heyday of Pennsylvania sports right then and there. I mean, they went from like, the 2 or the 4 Super Bowls, and then the only team that really wasn't doing anything was the Penguins.
By the way, I want to apologize to everyone for bringing up Pitt winning a national title. But in fairness, we're just talking about the whole state.
It's okay.
So,
okay. They still talk about it.
Well,
they claimed the national title for the 2020 season.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
They think it was available, so they claimed one.
We have like 19 claimed national titles there. That's the one they went like 1-1 against Lehigh, and it ought to.
They lost the Coast
picked
Guard
that as a national title.
They were loaded. It was World War II. So, that's just hilarious to me that they're claiming. And Auburn's just as bad, I think. Are they the other one who claims national titles?
Yeah, Auburn's got some fake ones.
You're like, well, what's going on here? It's like
I had a friend who actually was. I don't know why, but they were taking a campus tour in Tuscaloosa, and they said that it was the equivalent of the line ambassador for Alabama's campus, and even they made jokes about Auburn claiming fake national titles. Yeah,
these are real national titles.
Yeah,
so, pretty unbelievable. But the Flyers Penguins, I can't wait. I mean,
okay, so it was announced just a couple hours ago that Sidney Crosby's on the COVID adjacent list. We don't know exactly what the issue is.
Announced its protocol.
Yeah, but he's not going to play at least tonight.
That could mean he has it, false positive, may not have it, could
right.
be near somebody who has it. But
right. So he could be back as early as the second game of the series on Thursday night. Obviously, great news for the Flyers in terms of getting the win. From a competitive standpoint, you like this?
No, but
me neither.
The Flyers had to go through that. I mean, they had 6. They were missing 6 forwards in a nationally televised game in where was that? Nevada, Reno. No, that wasn't Reno. It was Tahoe. Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
They had their 6 of their top 9 forwards were out, gone.
Yep,
not playing. So I mean, it's like the Steelers this year playing some of those games, and then the 49ers playing without players, and Baltimore missing players. And
Denver.
Deal with it. Denver,
what did they had like a practice squad wide receiver playing quarterback for them or something crazy like that.
Yeah, so the guy had to get snaps, and he was a college scout team quarterback. So, but I mean, it is the best rivalry in sport. There's no doubt in my mind. There's just an absolute hate going about it between the two teams. They just don't like each other. They never have liked each other. And that's the best part is that, like, people have the Steelers and the Eagles. They're not in the same conference.
No, we live in the only place where there's a Steelers-Eagles rivalry.
Right. You're completely right. I mean,
I think
there's Steeler fans at home that I know, and they're like, they're not like judged.
Yeah, I was just going to say my experience of people who are kind of they live in Pittsburgh and have not had the experience of coming here and in Philly. They don't really care about the opposite team, and in fact, most of the time they'll say, I'll root for the other Pennsylvania team to do well, obviously when they're not playing my team.
Yes. Well, I actually had this conversation years ago with somebody in Texas. And I was like, you would root for another team like A&M would root for Texas to win a national title. I'm like, you guys are rivals. They're like, oh, but it's Texas. And I'm like, that's not how it works, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about that. You know different UT and A&M alumni than I do.
I don't know, man. The Houston Texans and the Cowboys.
But they do love them some Texas down there in Texas. Texans love them some Texas.
About that, buddy. So, I mean, not having Crosby tonight is going to be, put a damper on the game and that, but it doesn't matter.
So
you
let
still
me.
got Evgeny Malkin out there, and the Flyers are playing very well right now, but they're coming off a double win against Buffalo. Who is literally.
Well, look, you got to win those games, though.
Oh yeah,
man. You can't be like the Sixers losing to the Cavaliers the other night. When you get a
Why do you
chance,
have to bring the Sixers up. They're not even a professional team. We don't talk about the NBA in this program. Jeez.
I realized I'd gone almost a whole hour without dropping an NBA reference, and that one fit. You got to beat the bad teams on your schedule.
Absolutely, you do.
So yeah, I mean it's good to get those wins, but you play who's in front of you, and when you get those layups, you got to make them. So this is what I'm doing today, apparently, which is derailing the conversation for digressions. So I'm gonna drop
ADD.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop a big old digression in here. You can blame it on Alan because he's the one who brought up that the Penguins are gonna have fans tonight now because of the relaxation of the guidelines. I'm gonna ask you two quick questions.
Has Philadelphia okayed that yet? Do we know?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't quote me on it, but I've been seeing a lot of exact figures about what the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers are going to be able to do with attendance. So if they haven't okayed it, I think it's happening real soon. So 2 questions, then we'll go back to the NHL. Think there's going to be a blue-white game this year?
Do I think so?
Just is a blue-white scrimmage going to be played?
I believe so, yes.
I think so too, because BTN needs programming.
Okay.
So here's the other question. Do you think they are going to let any fans? No, I think there's no way there's tailgating. I think
they'll allow. What they say, 20%. They'll allow 20,000 fans.
Do you think
socially distanced? Okay, let's say 10,000 fans. But I'm going to go. I mean, I don't care if there's a game or not. I want to know if there's a freaking tailgate.
Well, see, here's my theory.
I personally think they're not going to have a tailgate.
I don't think they're going to allow tailgating, and I think because they're not going to allow tailgating, they're not going to let people in the stadium either.
Yeah, we went a whole season without it. We're not going to unless they charge.
That's what I said. Maybe if you could sell 10,000 tickets, it's even like something cheap. You could make some money off that, maybe. But I'm guessing yes, there's a game, but empty stadium. That's my prediction.
And they're not going to be any kind of autograph session, any kind of this or that.
No.
So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I can agree with that. So speaking of fans in the stands and this and that, you got Scott Walker from the Spikes on Thursday coming
nice.
to the show.
Yep.
He's going to talk about what the
that's a bright spot story to come out of last year for
24th.
Happy Valley. Yeah,
May
awesome.
24th is an opening game for the Spikes this year. I mean, the level of baseball is actually going to be a step or two up from where they have been. So I'm looking forward to it. I very much am. And I love it's just a nice thing. You live here. You got your daughter here.
It's phenomenal.
One of those what are you doing tonight? Let's go to a game. And we didn't have that option 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It's a very cool option.
Oh, it's been tremendous for the community. There's no doubt about it.
Love it, and Scott's a great guy. They do great work in town here amongst the people. So he's coming on the show Thursday to talk with us about the season and the schedule and all that stuff. So hopefully we're talking about a romp tonight, but just a good game. The way it's going to work is probably going to, they're going to start off a little chippy the first 10 minutes, and then they're going to settle down into their game. Flyers will win by 2 goals, maybe 3, and then it gets a little chippy at the end, so that carries over to Thursday, so it's a whole chippy game, and then it gets even more chippier. Flyers win by 4 goals, and then Saturday it just gets completely chippy, and it's just a complete bloodbath, and the Flyers win by 7 goals. And
okay, so you already answered one of my questions, which was who do you got tonight? You got Philly tonight?
I will never, ever pick against the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't care if they're playing Moscow Dynamo.
Lifelong Flyers fan who says I will never pick against the Philadelphia Flyers.
I'm the stupid Flyer.
I get you.
There are stupid Eagle fans, stupid Sixer fans, super Eagle fans, and Philly fans, but I am definitely – the Flyers have always been my number one favorite sport in Philadelphia. And my Pittsburgh Penguin fans, I love you guys, but I hate you. I hate your team. I hate your program. I hate everybody. Respect them. There's a respect, but I just don't like the Penguins because of just how much they hate the Philadelphia Flyers. Dude, there's a long hate. You talk about, when they were, the 70s when the Phillies and the Pirates were going at it. Dude, the Penguins went a whole dozen years and they didn't win a game in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Not a game. And they were in the same conference. They weren't playing like 2 games. They weren't playing a home and home the whole season. They were playing 7 to 8 games. Mark Battaglia, the great center from the '82 Penn State football team, he talks about how much he absolutely hates the Philadelphia Flyers because of Bobby Clark, because we couldn't beat him. He was a son of a bitch out there, and they could not beat him, and he absolutely hates the Philadelphia Flyers to this day because of that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mark. I love the Philadelphia Flyers, and I hate them because of Bobby Clark for entirely different reasons.
Oh.
Entirely different era of Bobby Clark, for sure.
They moved on from that era, finally. Look
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
And you know what? There is the Hextall thing right now.
How about that? Can you believe that?
I guess we have. I can. I mean,
look, the guy's got to make a paycheck, right? You go where people are willing to hire you.
The guy's a complete psychotic, and that's the issue with him. But he was very good at his job, and the Flyers organization was really depleted for a good bit there.
Yeah, no doubt.
He has
Well, and you know what? Look,
and their farm system back up on track, and that's him doing that.
I think he's got a pretty good eye for talent.
He does.
And
great eye for talent.
one thing, because he's a lunatic, is like he is not afraid to make hard calls, cut ties with guys. Look, I think he was brought in with the understanding that maybe not right now, but pretty soon they're going to have to blow up the core of a beloved Stanley Cup team, and they needed somebody who was cold-blooded enough to pull the trigger. Yeah, and so who better, right?
The Penguins organization is a top-notch organization right now, but 10, 15 years ago, they weren't there. You know what I mean? So, they could go back that route, and I think that they're bracing themselves to not go back there. And I think that getting Hextall, as much as it hates and just pissed off the Penguins fans, I mean, the guy is very good at what he did. He really, really replenished the Flyers organization. But again, he just goes back to he just did not have a good command of people.
Well, you want to talk about kicking the can down the road, too. If you're the Penguins, what the heck? You bring in a guy that the fan base is going to hate. So it's low risk, high reward. If he fails, you can still get some positive pub from firing Ron Hextall. And if it works, you realize how absolutely insufferable the Pittsburgh fans are going to be to us if they start having success with Ron Hextall as the GM.
Stole Fred Shero Jr. I mean, he's the guy who built their cup runs years ago. I mean, that was his father was the head coach of the manager or the coach of the Flyers in the 70s. They won the 2 cups. So I always kid around with them like that. But, I mean, there's definitely the older hate amongst the old hat Penguin fans, and they're the ones, they're not the ones out nowadays. The ones out nowadays are the ones who don't remember those days when they were going to leave and stuff like that. I like to remind them of the Kansas City Penguins talk. I mean, they don't.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the team wasn't championship caliber for a couple of years, so you can understand why you can understand why they just jumped ship.
And then
right?
the NHL had to come in and run them for a while because they were so inept. You talking about that organization? Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and then they were gifted a couple generational talents. I don't know. I mean, it's just funny how it happens.
A couple of frozen envelopes is what you're saying. I don't know.
Hey, imagine that.
Okay, so 3 games and 6 nights. I love the new divisional structure. I kind of wish they'd stick with it. So, okay, how many points does Philly come away from this 3-game series? So you said you're going to pick them to win every night. Yeah. They're going to be all regulation wins?
I have a running bet with one of my very good friends.
Okay.
And that is that, it's a 12-pack for every game.
Okay.
So I'm already up to a 12-pack. I'm already up a case of beer.
Yeah. Okay.
But this season, it's usually only 4 or 5 games. And it was always it was like a $100 bet if there was a season sweep. And I was the only one who had to risk that in the last few years because the Flyers have been pretty bad.
Right.
So now someone at home is very, very scared right now because there's only 7 games this season.
Okay.
And you're going to go into these 3 games possibly without Sidney. And that's guaranteed.
That's true.
They're playing the Flyers, so that's Crosby's guaranteed to get 2 points and 2 assists.
No doubt.
According to his lifetime stats. I mean, that's why I hate him so much. He's so freaking good, and he just literally enjoys, and it's horrible.
No.
As bad as the Philadelphia fans are to him, he just kills the Flyers every time. Every time.
So 6 points?
I'm going for the sweep.
6 points and a water slide. Woo! Well, Goon, it's been a pleasure. You'll be jumping in neon water slide.
That's how you leave from exercise to exercise in the new weight room. Is you take a water slide down.
That's the only thing standing between us and leapfrogging Ohio State.
Oh, Lord.
You're going to be remote on Thursday.
Yes, I will.
But you're going to be here. Scott Walker from the State College Spikes is going to be here. The Ironhead is going to be back previewing the Big Ten tournament, which is going to happen here in Happy Valley with no fans.
You got to come by the Lube to watch it.
Yeah, come check it out.
Sunday,
We're
10
at State
a.m.,
College's Quaker
7
Steak and Lube.
p.m. You know, they have all 4 matches here on Saturday and Sunday, all 4 sessions. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really awesome.
And this is the place to check it out.
Absolutely.
So, want to thank everybody for watching. We're back 3 p.m. on Thursday with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. See you later.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait. Tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,